Okay. D- Am I supposed to say this name?
Yeah.
I have to ask you a question, Johnny. Dick Harshwood says, that's the name right there. It's Dique. Yeah, Dick Harshwood. How do you know if your handlebars are the right height? What's the downside of bar risers? And it says Lurch from Logandale.
So it sounds like he's a tall guy if his name's Lurch.
Yeah.
Right?
But that means he's got low hands, right? Lurch usually got long arms.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Lurch is, if you're Lurch, like a long arm Lurch, you don't need bar risers, but
yeah. Well, my opinion, I'll just
you're the best person to give this opinion because you're
So I've always been kind of a low back guy. So low back, low bars, kind of down and back, and I hang off the back, and because when I have high bars, I lose my mechanical advantage when I'm steering. And so when my bars and my arms are raised too high, I feel like I can't feel the ground and have the correct wheel sensation on the front wheel. So I don't know where it is. So I like the bars to be low, and I can relax my arms, and I can steer and feel what the front tire is doing.
You steer with your bars?
No, you know what's so funny? No, George, zip it. Hey, you just drink your sippy cup over there.
Well, the ice is jingling in the mic. Can I turn this mic
no,
off
don't,
when I want to drink?
Huh? Turn it. No, just be careful with it. I was gonna, like I usually do, interrupt.
Yeah.
I was gonna interrupt, and I said, no, I'm just gonna let him run with this because you started talking about stuff that was fundamentally different than the way we teach. But you were making a ton of sense about, like, when you're talking about the bars coming up higher and not having the leverage. And then when you said, I like my bars down lower so I can relax, because everybody thinks they turn their motorcycle by turning the handlebars, and that's incorrect. The handlebars should magically do exactly what they should do if everything is in balance and all this stuff. And you're exactly right about, you think about it, the leverage when you start bringing something up higher, like, your hands start moving up to your shoulders, you can't put your weight into it. But when they start getting down lower, you can put your weight into the bars. The way you use the bars is when something starts going wrong. Then you can make the correction. You can push, pull, twist, do this to the bar. At least that's what a good rider does. And Johnny Campbell, you may be an excellent rider. So you have the thing, and you're thinking that you're getting a lot of feeling in your hands from what this. I bet you're actually getting more input back from your feet. Like, your feet are telling you what the bike is doing more than you. Johnny hasn't been to my school. Your wife went to my school, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Did we send her through the school?
Yep. I did
one of your schools.
You didn't pay attention.
In Prim.
Long time ago.
It's evolved since then.
Oh, we gotten better.
But
we got kicked out of there.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is exactly correct in that, the handlebar position is super, super critical, as much as lever position is critical, as like foot peg. We were talking about the one of the guys on the tour.
Yeah.
He was talking about he had a taller bar and he had lower foot pegs, and it was all kind of the setup that was developed. And we were sitting there, started talking about, like, why this, we're talking 10 millimeters here and 5 millimeters here, why all of this stuff works. And for a novice guy, they're not feeling this stuff to a high level. And you've done so much bike testing, and because you've had to try all these different setups, what works. And actually, your bikes were pretty easy to ride for me. I don't know why. Probably because the bars weren't high, now that I'm starting to think about it. And your suspension was not ridiculously stiff. You always wanted way the F too much power. I don't know why you wanted all that power on your bikes. I could go with a lot less power, except for when I'm riding a Husaberg 570, which just comes stock. Stock's good. Yeah. So, but anyways, back to the question. Did anybody remember what the question was?
No.
Handlebar. It was on your paper.
Oh, it was
Something
on the
about
paper.
handlebars.
I'm looking on the screen to try to find it.
We also just had someone else buy the course, so I want to thank you, Carlos.
How do you know if the handlebars are the right height? I would just say your bike feels good.
I think when you sit on the bike, and just me, you sit on the bike, and if you can comfortably put your hands on the bars,
Oh, Heather would like what you just did.
just naturally putting on the bars, and you don't feel like it's too much or like too high, and it's taking effort to do that, or it's down.
But that's static.
It is, but imagine, George, you're at a shooting range, right? And
Don't talk to me about that.
Okay.
We saw my failure earlier
Okay.
today, right?
imagine, you shoot the gun and the recoil, and it comes back to the same spot every time. What's your natural? Grab the bars.
I like what he's doing
But,
there.
but that's also when you're going, slowing.
Yeah,
It's not just sitting on a
I
bike
don't want to be
stand.
using energy because my bars are too high,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be because they're too low, and you're like back, and
But he's talking about like Heather. Remember how Heather says goalposts?
yeah.
She says the goalpost. He just did the goalpost without saying goalpost. He kind of did that goalpost things. But I would say that it needs to be comfortable, like not too high. And there's something you can just do static that you would feel, but you'll know when you're riding. I mean, and there's so much. There's height, then there's sweep. And when sweep starts turning your elbows in or pushes your bars in, put your bars turn your.
And you're standing and you're sitting.
Yeah, it's different.
That's right. So
I hate George's bike that he leaves at my house. The only reason I don't ride it is he has tall bars on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna try the regular mount instead of the sub,
Yep.
just to see to play around with it.
Yeah.
Because that 390 thing, that was the biggest change that
And we raised the crap out of those
Yeah,
bars,
yeah.
and it made a huge. I mean,
made it really feel good. I mean,
'Cause-
Jim and I were riding it.
that bike was never designed to be ridden standing up for 90% of the riders. And that's the thing is there's certain they design bikes certain ways to do certain things, and this is why there's so much aftermarket out there. But I know in the adventure bike world we call it high bar Kool-Aid. Everybody's drinking it. I got to raise the bars. I got to raise the bars because there were certain bikes that definitely had bars that were too low. Because they were like the KTM 390, they were designed to be ridden sitting down 99% of the time. So why bother, setting it up for there?
Well, it's a street bike frame. Dirt bikes, the steering head's
and what's
up
this?
in you. Street bikes, it's usually lower and out forward.
Yeah. And then what are you riding? Like what type of are you just riding trails? You're riding motocross? You're riding desert ride? Are you riding highway? That makes a big difference of where your comfort is also.
And the bikes I ride, the higher speeds, desert, faster stuff, have 5 to 10 millimeters more bar rise. And this goes for my adventure bikes. The adventure bikes I ride more off road tend to have a higher bar rise than the adventure bikes I ride predominantly on the street. And my street one's like a lower setup. So there's so much stuff that you can set up, but
Comfort.
it comes down to comfort and what's
Individual
comfortable. And
comfort.
sometimes for some people they just feel it, and other people you need to have somebody, they kind of need to be told. But I would always start, stock is generally pretty good for the intended purpose of the bike, for what it's designed. And if you need to go one direction or the other, whether you're tall or short or whatever it is, it may not just be just because you're tall you need bar risers. Because I've seen tall guys that are all legs and no arms, and I've seen other tall guys that are all arms, all torso. Aren't you that, George? You're a torso guy? Because George can't even fit in my UTV.
Yeah.
He's short and he can't
My
even.
head hits the top.
Yeah. So what works for you is not going to work for me. Everybody's different and likes a different flavor just because our ergonomics, we're all built different.
And I'll tell you what the biggest downsides that we see from the tall bar or bar risers is when it stands you up and all of a sudden your arms are closer. You try to get in this certain position, and a lot of times it pushes your upper body back and the pelvis goes forward. This is the worst thing.
Very good.
This is the worst thing for, you don't want to have your pelvis forward while you're riding because, watch even really good riders, they fold at the hips, but they fold back. They don't fold forward. And so tall bars can tend to cause you to fold forward in order to stand all the way up, to stand upright. And Johnny was good at folding the hips back.
So I've heard you describe
The stink bug, huh?
Yeah, the stink bug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The stink bug.
and it all comes down, like you always preach, Jimmy. It all comes down to balance, and if you're in a position where you're not getting your full mechanical balance on the bike, you're off balance, and off balance means you're not going to ride very good.
Hey, your results do not tell me that stink bug riding doesn't
Not
work. So hey, and everybody's different. Like some people have just different feel, the way they feel the bike and stuff. So, man, sorry to go Dick Harshwood way off the chart on that. But what was that, 20 minutes on bar risers, Matt?
15.
15, yeah, pretty solid.